Welcome to The Gabrielle Lara Show, a podcast dedicated to normalizing the messy middle of entrepreneurship. I am your host, Gabrielle Lara, and I invite entrepreneurs from all walks of life onto this podcast to share what they navigated to get from where they were to where they are now. My hopes of this podcast is to help you feel more seen and heard in your entrepreneurial journey as you navigate your own version of the messy middle. I appreciate you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty terrified to record this episode. And I have promised myself that I'm not going to record it 1,000 times and try to make it perfect. I'm just gonna let it flow, and however it flows is however it freaking flows. I don't know why I'm so scared, but I'm just gonna walk through it with you guys. So I have something really exciting to talk about that's petrifying me. And so I just want to be vulnerable. I want to be real. I want to be vulnerable. I don't want to think about this too much. And I love my community so much. I feel so connected to you guys. I feel so close to you all. And I encourage you to be your truest selves so much. Why does that make me want to cry? I almost just started crying. I'm not going to cry. Everything's going to be fine. I'm literally snuggled in my cozy blanket and I'm like shaking. This is just not like me. This isn't like me, but it's because I'm scared, guys, and we're going to work through it. But to just preface this episode, this is not going to be a perfect episode. I am probably going to pause to get my thoughts. I am doing this on a whim because that's what feels good. I'm probably going to say a lot, and it's not going to be perfect. So just prefacing this because that makes me feel a little bit less nervous. I don't really structure any of my calls, but I have a lot more confidence going into my other calls. My podcast episodes, but I have a lot more confidence going into my other podcast episodes. And this I'm really still trying to work with. So to cut to the chase, I have discovered something new about myself that I am still wrapping my head around. And it's been a really beautiful thing to experience to the point where it almost doesn't feel real. And I feel really terrified of being judged. And I'm scared to get this out there. In the fact that I could potentially be judged for it. And so I sat with myself for a while and I said, what would I tell one of my clients? And I would tell them to go for it. And that's what I'm going to tell myself, because who am I if I don't walk the walk or, practice what I'm always preaching? So let's say, if you guys know, I am posting this on October 12th. We just got back from our honeymoon. We got married on September 24th, 2021. And then we were off to Hawaii that 2 days technically after that Monday. We just got back from Hawaii. And so before that, I had a lot of interesting things happen where I would be doing niche intensives with people. And I've always known that I can see beyond the person, right? Like I'm able to kind of take the things that somebody says and get to the meat and the potatoes of it, which is really funny because it's taking me 3.5 minutes to now get to the meat and potatoes of what I'm trying to say. But anyways, I've always been able to hear somebody's story and know their purpose in this world. And the best way that I've been able to describe that is through finding somebody's niche. And what I've realized as I've gone through my spiritual awakening, which I have a whole other episode on that. If you guys have not listened to that, I would definitely start there. And evolved and done a lot of healing myself, I have realized that it's actually deeper than that. And I am able to channel people where they will be talking and I'm able to connect with either their highest self, their spirit guides, something. I'm connecting to something that is beyond their physical form, is the best way that I'm able to say it. And so it took me a while to realize this. And I want to kind of go through the evolution with you guys and share that because I think that that's really important. So, you guys know, if you're new here, I do these things called niche intensives where I will literally find someone's niche. Like they tell me their story and I'll tell them, their uniqueness and then help them start a business with it or refine their business. And so, those are my favorite freaking thing in the world to do because what I realize now is I was really able to use the gift that I have. So, niche intensives have been going great. Like we're finding people's niches, everything's awesome. And then the past few, so let's say from like August onwards, they were just different in a beautiful way. Like let me just give you an example because I'm like already struggling to put this into words, which is my problem with this is like I'm trying to like articulate what's going on in my brain, like making sense of it. And I've had time to do that. But anyways, um, one of the niche intensives that I did right before I left, the woman was talking to me and bizarre things have been happening like right when we're coming through people's breakthrough. When I say breakthrough, it's like really getting aligned with like what their soul's purpose is, like what their niche is, what is their uniqueness, what makes them different, what's their purpose here. And we were just aligning with it. And I heard a dog bark. And I have dogs. You guys know I have Jackson Rocky. They're always in the next room over, but I crate them so that they're not like running around or like barking at the squirrels outside. They're always crated when I'm on like calls or anything like that. And so I knew it wasn't like an actual dog barking, but there was like a dog bark in my head right as she was like aligning with it. And I said to her, and I was like, I'm so sorry that this is random, but like, do you have any type of connection to a dog? And she started sobbing, like sobbing. And I was like, oh my gosh, did I just do something wrong? Like what is going on? And she was like, I'm getting the chills down my side right now. And she said, my dog that I've had for 14 years died 3 months ago. And the second she came through that breakthrough, the dog barked. And I just knew in that moment that dog sent her the gift of this clarity and the breakthrough that she's been begging for. And right after that, I was like, oh my gosh, that is wild. What just happened? I was like, that can't be. Like that must have just been like this fluke thing. Like what the hell happened? And then I was doing another one and another one and another one. And all of these things were happening where I was either connecting to like somebody's like future kid or I could just tell. And I don't know how else to explain it besides being like, I can just tell what the resistance is in this person's body, right? I can tell where it is. I can tell what it is, all of these things. And so I spent weeks like freaking myself out and thinking that I was going crazy because I was like, what is this? And then I went through this like 3-day period where I got chills and not so much like, yes, the goosebumps, but like chills. Like, when God forbid you're in like an unsafe situation, you get the chills, or you're like, that's a bad example because I don't ever feel like it's like in an unsafe situation, but like, that just chill in your body that you get. I went through like a 3-day period where my left side was doing that. Like it was just constant chills. And I remember texting my sister, who's a nurse, my best friend who's a nurse, and I was like, am I having a stroke? Because now it's my face is just one side is just chills, like all of this. And I obviously was not having a stroke, but I really truly thought that something was wrong. And what I realized is like now that I realize those chills are like my confirmation. When I tell somebody something that like I'm feeling and I get the chills, I know that that's confirmation. And so I just had all these weird things happening and I was like, what the hell? And so I kind of forgot about it. Forgot about it's not the right word. I more so just like pretended like it wasn't there and avoided it because I did not know what was happening until I was doing a podcast interview with a friend of mine, Katie. Her podcast isn't out yet, it's coming soon. And she also happens to be a medium. And I was introduced to Katie through my coach, Hannah. Hannah lives up in New York. Eric and I used to live up in New York, kind of right where they're from. And Katie is living in the town that Eric and I used to live in. So I was introduced to Katie, and then I later found out that she was a medium. So I did a reading with her. She was so cool, awesome. And then we both own businesses, and we said, do you want to do a podcast swap? So this was weeks later after my reading. We did a podcast swap. And as she was talking, and this happened to me with so many podcast guests and just people that I speak to, as I'm talking to them, I'm getting these downloads. Like, I don't know how else to describe it besides downloads, or like I just hear these phrases or things and I write them down. And if I don't say them to the person, they like keep nudging me. It's very distracting. And that's something I have to work on. So let's just hold that point. But it was just wildly distracting. So at this point, I've just almost had enough of it, where I'm like, I don't know what's happening here. And I knew that I could trust Katie. So after our call, or once the podcast, like we pressed stop, I had 3 things that I just felt so called to share with her. And I asked her permission, of course. I don't ever want to like just throw something on somebody, but I said, I can't get these 3 things out of my brain, and I just have to tell you. And I told her, and they seemed to really resonate with her. And then she looked at me and she was like, okay, well, do you want to hear my message to you? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know, because I feel like I know what's coming, and I don't know. And she was just like, you know that you're a channeler, right? And I literally just like froze. I just froze. And I was like, what? Like, yes, yeah, I do. Thank you for saying it, because that makes sense. But like, what? Like, what is all of this? I did not ask for this, and not in a bad way, but I was like, this is me kind of venting to you guys now, but I like, this whole spiritual thing found me. I did not search for this. Like, it just found me, and I'm not mad about it, because it's the coolest friggin' thing ever. And I feel so gifted and fortunate to have this connection. But like, what the actual fuck is going on is all that my brain can possibly say. Like, what the actual fuck? So here I am, like, and I just stared at her. I was like, and she's like, I just keep hearing like, you just have to claim it. Like, you just have to claim it. I was like, claim what? I don't know what to claim. I do not know what's happening. Like, I cannot make sense of this. So of course, that was like 2 days before I get married. So I'm like going into all of that, like, what's happening with me? And like, oh my gosh, but in a good way. It was never in a way where it's like, I'm really scared, I'm really freaked out. Like, I always felt really positive energy from it, and scared of being judged by it, and not knowing how to talk about it, and not knowing how to introduce this, and not knowing how to really work with it. Because what was happening to me at the time, and is honestly still happening, I am coming to you guys at a very vulnerable point here. I'm stepping into this more, and I'm understanding it more, and I need help. I'm going to be working with Katie next week and helping me with this. But what was happening to me, or what is happening to me, is I will be talking to somebody and I will just be able to hear things, and it's distracting. And I need to learn, I would like to learn, I should say, boundaries around this, because I can't be like interviewing people on my podcast and like being distracted from questions. Because if you guys, I assume if you're listening to this now, I've listened to other episodes, my questions come to my intuition. Like, I don't send them questions beforehand, nothing like that. It's all intuitive. And so I need to make sure, as a podcast host, and for you guys to have a great podcast, I have to be tuned in to hear those questions. And that's really friggin' hard when I'm like tuning into other aspects of them that they did not ask me to tune into, that I did not ask to tune into. It's just happening. So really got to work on the boundaries there, and learning how to navigate that, because whoa freaking Nelly. But while this was all happening, I, thank God, am in a mastermind. I'm in Hannah Nieves', she's like my godsend. She's my coach. I live for that woman. I love her so much. She's helped me incredibly. I'm in her Thrive Mastermind. And the week actually before my wedding, I know I'm jumping around in this story, guys. I'm so sorry, but this is just where my brain's at. And this is a vulnerable brain dump, as I prefaced. A week before my wedding, we were in New York meeting, like the whole mastermind was meeting as a retreat. And what I just realized, you guys probably heard me brain fart there, my conversation with Katie was actually the week before my wedding, not a few days before. So um a few days before I went to Hannah's retreat, I heard that from Katie. And while I was there, I was like sharing it with the girls. It was very fresh news. And I said, I'm really nervous. I just feel like I've stepped into more of the spirituality space, which took me a while. Can I practice on some of you? And people were so open. And I was just like, I don't know if this is going to be the most buck wild shit ever, but like, I just need to give this a go. And the women who I gave it a go with their permission, of course, it was in that moment that I realized, holy shit, this is a thing. This is a gift. Wow. And I need a lot of help being able to like understand the messages and the things that are coming through, because I said that to them. I was like, listen, I have things coming through that like I don't understand, so I'm gonna like decipher them out loud to you. And over time, I'm assuming I will get better at this, but right now it's a shitstorm, so please just take that. And they were so good about it, but tears, like just things just hit and clicked, and I could just feel it hitting and clicking, and I could just feel that it was things that these women had to hear. There were times where I was connecting to certain people. There were times where I could just see their timelines, if that makes sense. Like I could just see future images of them and where they are. And this is the most wild one, is I was talking to one particular woman and I said something to her. And what I said to her was an exact thing that she had written down on a sticky note on her desk. And that's when I was like, holy shit. Wow. And so then I came back. That's right. This is the right thing. Then I came back from New York, and then I went away on my wedding and all that. And I remember I had a conversation with Eric before, and Eric is not into the spirituality woo-woo, doesn't believe in it, none of that. And so I was really nervous that like that man supports me more than anything in the entire world. Anything. He is so supportive and delicious. I love him so much. I was really scared that I was going to like turn him away or like freak him out or have him be like this is like no thank you. But I told him, I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm like able to read people. And he was like a psychic. And I was like, I don't know what to call it. I could not freaking tell you, but something's going on here. And he was like, okay. And we just like moseyed on, and I was just like, okay, like thank you. I don't know how to, I don't know what it's called. I don't know what this is. I just know that it's here and it feels really freaking good when I'm doing it. When I did those practice sessions with those people, and I've been doing more of them, like now that I'm back, I feel so good. And what I realize is that's really what I do during my niche intensives, and it all made sense. And it's like I have the ability to communicate with your higher self and your spirit guide. So this is why I'm going to be working with Katie to really help me with this, because I don't know who I'm communicating with, but it's someone that isn't you sitting in front of me, right? It's like your highest self. I'm able to just like see glimpses of, I don't want to say your future, because it's not like me looking into a crystal ball and seeing things, but there's times where I can just see you in different scenarios. And it is a mouthful. A mouthful, if you can tell. I feel like I just spent 20 minutes babbling. I don't even know if any of this made sense. I'm going to post this anyways and just hope for the best. But now let's get to the scared part. I saw like this TikTok the other day, and talk about good timing, but it was like this random TikTok that was like, that thing in your gut that you're so afraid of? Like that, follow that for like your ultimate success. And I was just like, oh, and just kind of mosey past it. Like, I feel like I've heard that advice 1,000 times. And now 2 days later, like I can't tell you how much sense that makes, because I had a thought last night of like this cool mini mastermind, like a month long, that I was like envisioning, where I was like, it would be so fun to offer this to my community. Like just a handful of women for like $1,000 for the month. It's all about the law of attraction, like being in the receiving mode, staying high vibration. And I would do readings for people. And I was just in such like, I was in so much joy thinking that. And then all of a sudden, like my head got to me that was like, are you fucking nuts? Absolutely not. Like you're nuts. And just like my brain does like what your brains do, guys. And like I feel like sometimes when you listen to podcasts, like it's so easy to be like, oh, she has it all figured out. Nope, not over here, not in this neck of the woods, I can tell you that. I am constantly dealing with healing too, but it made sense for me today where I was like, it's time for me to announce this to people, to my audience. It's 222 my time. How bonkies is that? It's time for me to get this out there because that's me living in my truth. And now this is who I am. And this is what I can offer to people. And I just have to follow the current. I don't know how else to do it. And so I would have felt worse had I not told you guys about this, but I'm terrified. I'm so scared of being judged. I am so scared of like people who have known me my whole life being like, what the actual fuck? It beats me. It beats me. I do not know. All I know is like that this is what's happening and it feels really good and grounding. And I'm ready for it. I'm ready to step into this. I'm ready to add this to my brand. I'm ready to speak on this. I'm ready to own the shit out of this because I have always known that I've had a strong intuition. I'm an intuitive business coach. Like literally so much of it's my intuition. And now there's like an extra cherry on top where I can also tap into yours. And it feels so refreshing for me to say that. It feels so good because it feels like I'm finally just aligning with my truth. And I never knew this was my truth. I never knew. It's so funny. It's like I want to say I never knew that this was inside of me, but I felt almost like I was gonna choke saying that as if like that was like part of like my higher self being like, bitch, you fucking knew. You just didn't tap into it. And I think, do you guys like how I talk to myself? I think what happened and what I realized was I think I have finally healed enough to allow this to come through. And I truly, truly, truly think every single one of us has this ability. It's just a matter of how many weeds we have standing in the way, right? Like, this is such a horrible metaphor, but like my brain is just saying this. It's like, this is so bad. I might have to edit this part out, but like, how long are you going to wait to mow your lawn? You know, like you can't let the grass go over the fence. And for me, my grass was friggin' hitting the roof because I was just avoiding my healing for so long. And I finally feel like I've mowed my lawn. This is so terrible. I finally feel like I've mowed my lawn enough for me to like do this, for it to come through. And I have the best friend in the entire world. She is my soul sister. And I called her immediately with this. And I was like, her and I like love psychics. We always do readings and stuff. And so I knew she'd get a freaking kick out of this. And I was just like, I don't know what's going on here. And she was like, I just feel like you've healed enough to let this through. And that was the best way that she could have said it. And so that's how I'm going to explain it now. I've spent so much time healing, guys. And I just feel like now this is the gift that I can offer to you. And I don't know how I'm going to infuse it in. I work with Hannah, where her and I are going to work on doing this together and infusing this into my brand and offering this out to you guys. But the number one thing that I can say is in any work that you do with me, in my niche intensives, which you guys know every single thing, any way you can work with me right now starts with that niche intensive. It's me and it's me, right? Like it's all of me, I should say. It's 150%. And it seems like my spirit guides are jumping on in there. It's my highest self. I'm legitimately able to see your soul's purpose. That's it. I'm able to see your soul's purpose, and it's a matter of you stepping into it or not. And we can work on you stepping into it together. But this goes for anyone across the board. Like, this is not just for new business owners. Like, it's people in general. Like, it's just, you all have a soul's purpose. You could have had a business for 5 years and you realize that something's off, and I can guarantee you I will find it. I know now for a fact, like that is my gift. And I'm starting to own it. And I'm so scared to put this out there. And I'm going to do it anyways. Because if there is anything that I know, like at the end of the day, I will practice what I preach. And if you are sitting in front of me right now telling me this, I would say, whip out the friggin' microphone and let's go. Because we have to get that out there. And that's it. I don't know what else to say. I feel such a sense of relief. I feel like I can talk about this more, and I'm just going to go for it. And I encourage every single one of you listening, if you have something on your mind, if you just know that there's a piece about you that you're just ready to let loose and like unleash the beast, I encourage you to do that, because I am like a 10 out of 10 terrified right now, and it feels so freaking good. I don't know how else to say it. It's going to be like the most empowering, badass feeling when you step into it. And that's what I keep telling myself. So that's what we're gonna do. But this is me, guys. My brand is evolving. I just got chills down my leg. I'm evolving. My business is evolving. My community is going to evolve, and the same's gonna happen with you. Like, so I share all this to be open, honest, truthful, get it all out there, and really share the vulnerable side of like me still figuring this out. I don't know what to call it. I don't know if it's clairvoyant. Like, I don't know what to call it. I don't know what feels good for me to call it. I don't know how to really describe it to people, because it just took me 25 minutes to get it out of my mouth here. But I'm going to do it. And if anything, I just hope that I can be, I don't know, a role model for you to do it too. So let's do this. I don't know, but this is it. This is my brand. This is me. This is me helping you. This is me how I can help you. This is me helping your business. And like, I've always known, like, I'm not one of those business coaches. Like, I don't love to, oh my God, spreadsheets or like the profit margins or things like that. I'm not that type of business coach, but I am the business coach who can smell from a mile away what's not aligned in your business. And honestly, it's not so much your business, it's what's not aligned with you, and then bring you back. And now it's like I have, I don't know, just universal support in the fact that like, yeah, this is just it. This is it, and this is what's happening. So, whew, let's do this. I appreciate your support so much, and I'm just ready to kind of like take what comes with this. And I think my biggest fear is looking like a cuckoo head, but you know what? So be it. This is it. This is what's happening. This is me, and I can't run from it anymore. Like, I just feel like I spent so much of my life running from who I really was. And who am I to tell all of you guys to own who you are if I'm not fully doing that? So here I am, vulnerable as hell, ready to explore this, ready to figure it out, ready to learn with it, ready to ask for help with it, just ready to do the damn thing. I appreciate you guys so much. I think I'm going to do more of these solo episodes because, and I think I'm going to share this story in a better way when I can continue to wrap my head around it. But this is just where it's at for the time being. And yeah, I love you guys so much. I appreciate you. I feel safe in this space doing this, as scary as that was. I feel a huge sense of relief. And if you've made it this far, listening to my mumbo jumbo for 28 minutes, I'm very, very grateful. Did you enjoy today's episode? If so, I would be super appreciative if you left a review and a rating and shared this with a friend so that I can continue to bring you value every single week. I'll see you next time.